good morning to the honorable judges of Smada storytelling competition. Today, I will indulge you in a story about Hansel and Gretel. The story went like this. Once upon a time, there lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. They lived with their dad and stepmother in a hut in the forest. Their dad was a poor woodcutter. He tried his hardest to provide for their family. Since he was just a simple woodcutter, hunger was their friend.
Dear Lord, grant me strength for our family. Grant us wealth, for I have to make sure my family is living in poverty.
Their stepmother disliked the fact that they were poor, and she had stepchildren. At one night, Hansel and Gretel overheard their parents' conversation. "How are you going to get through this winter? We don't have enough food. If you do not get rid of this kid, we will all starve to death."
Why do we have to get rid of them? We could pass this winter like a couple years ago.
No need to argue. I made up my mind. Tomorrow, we'll take them to the woods and leave them there. Hearing all that, Gretel started to cry. Her brother Hansel comforted her. "Please, don't worry, Gretel. Somehow, we will find our way back home." Later that night, Hansel collected as many pebbles as he could in his pocket to trail the way back. In the morning, when they all start to walk towards the forest, as they were walking, Hansel dropped the pebbles to mark the way back. Their father told them that they were going for a family hike, but of course, he lied. They left them alone and never came back. And then Hansel and Gretel started to follow the pebbles that shining in the moonlight and walked towards home. Their stepmother was very upset that they were coming back and tried to get rid of them once again. This time, their stepmother locked their door a night before, so Hansel could only left the breadcrumbs that he had put in his pocket to trail the way back. But this time, they could not find their way back home because all the breadcrumbs were eaten by the birds. "Oh no! There's such a bad bird! Whoosh! Whoosh!" Gretel started crying. Hansel felt hopeless this time. The kids were really lost with enough food and scared to death. But then they saw a white bird as white as snow and started to follow it. The bird brought them in front of a funny-looking house. This house was made with bread, cakes, candies, and colorful gleam all around, and it looks unbelievable. This house looks incredibly delicious. Just as they were both going to have a bite from it, they heard a voice from inside. "Now, who's nibbling in my house?" The kids looked around and they saw a sweet old lady in front of the door. She let them in, but the inside of the house was dark, scary, and it didn't feel right. However, the kids didn't care much. They ate and slept in that house. In the morning, they all start to look around. At the end of the corridor, they saw a small door, and when they opened it, they found cases full of gold and treasures inside. Of course, they were very surprised. And then they heard her voice. "And what do you think you are doing?" The kid turned around and the kid faced the witch. The witch was standing in front of them. The kids tried to run away, but they could not because the door was locked. And then the witch pulled up Hansel by the hair and locked him in the cage, and she dragged Gretel in the kitchen. "Your brother is too skinny. Cook some food for him and make him fat. When he's fat, I shall eat him. And don't ground of the cage and buried the foot and remained skinny. The witch was controlling Hansel every day to see if he gained weight or not. And in the meantime, she was telling Gretel to cook more food for Hansel. And it went for days until she finally had enough. Fat, skinny, I don't care anymore. Today, I will make him to pie. The witch turns out and faced Gretel and said, "Look in the oven, kid, see if the dough is baked or not." Although she was in fear, Gretel understood that the witch was gonna push her into the oven. "I'm gonna put my hand inside and see the dough." And then the witch pushed her aside and stuck her hand inside. And then Gretel gathered all her strength to push the witch into the oven and lock the door. Ah! Screamed the witch until it went silent. Gretel ran straight to save Hansel from the cage, and the flames from the oven buried the whole house and it turned even bigger. And then the kids ran past the woods and across the river by help of a giant swan. Eventually, they could reach their house. Seeing his father with tears of joy explained to them how sorry he was for all that he did. And the kids gave him a gold and diamond, and they lived happily ever